Grade 12 students, peace be upon you. It's me again, Mr. Asim Habis, and the third video in the series out of 4, under the title Helicopter Parenting Hysteria. Is it as widespread as we think? By the end of this video, you will be able to identify a crucial issue, helicopter parenting, and answer referential and inferential questions related to the passage. Okay, let's go. I'm quite sure you already prepared your book and your notebook to take notes. Before moving to the book and start reading and comprehending the remaining part of our lesson on helicopter parenting, let's remember together what we have covered in the previous video. The writer's main objective is to reveal whether HP is really as widespread and damaging to children and adults as people believe it to be. So, helicopter parents are accused of being too controlling as they keep phoning college deans and asking about their kids' love life. But the reality is that parents are indeed in touch with the college-age kids, yet communication is quite different from intervention, and that parents do communicate with their kids, but they rarely intervene. The writer reveals that studies prove how majority of college students admit that their parents weren't involved in their studies, and that 77 of employers claim that they hardly witnessed a parent while hiring a college senior. HP proved to be positive when experienced in any home, as it leads to higher level of academic engagement and better communicative skills with peers and faculty. It is also said that kids need their parents even when getting adult, because being mature doesn't mean being self-sufficient. And parent-child relationship should continue past childhood. This is what we have covered in the previous video. Let's move now to the book, page 6. To read and comment on paragraph 7. Similar to the previous video, you will find in the glossary the definition of some words that you may consider challenging. The writer opens this paragraph with a question asking whether HP leads to psychological damage to kids by saying, but doesn't research show that HP can be psychologically damaging at least to some young people? Take your time to read paragraph 7. And even the coming paragraph 8, and answer these two questions orally. Believe me guys, these two paragraphs, paragraph 7 and 8, are really confusing, so it will not be enough to read them once and depend on the glossary I included. I recommend reading them several times and analyze the content before watching the video again to answer these two questions. Question 1. What method of research was used in those studies? Question 2. What did they conclude? What did these studies conclude about helicopter parenting? Take your time to answer these questions. Okay, now you're done. Here are the answers for the questions I displayed. The answer for question 1, what method of research was used in those studies, is the studies used the questionnaires that were handed to students at one single college. And what did the studies conclude about HP? These studies showed extreme versions of HP go hand in hand with anxiety and a diminished sense of well-being. But by taking a close look at the findings, the writer found that they weren't really strong and credible, so they didn't impress him. He continued his criticism by saying that the caveats the studies launched were not reliable for 3 reasons. 1. They include no clear pieces of evidence that HP caused such problems. 2. Parents interfere after kids are depressed. And finally, just unhappy students see their parents being intrusive. Thus, we can say, HP is not the cause of psychological problem. It is rather the psychological problems these kids have that push them to complain whenever their parents are next to them. We reached now to paragraph 8, pages 6 and 7, where the writer continues showing how the studies are not valid or reliable. So one more time, pause this video to read paragraph 8 with super care and try to find at least 2 problems with the study's second warning. These studies gave 2 warnings, as you know.
So at least let's find 2 of them. Take your time and read it attentively.
Now, as you're done, you should all notice that the studies couldn't differentiate between HP, overparenting, or intrusive parenting and excessive control of children. This last one is really damaging, while HP, overparenting, or intrusive parenting, the writer showed us that how they were productive. The studies considered all caring parents who keep an eye on their kid's life as overly involved. So, the problem is with the research itself. It contradicts HP critics who call for less indulgence as kids should fail to enjoy success later on. We could say now that we can't depend on these findings to judge whether HP causes harm to children or not. Now, as we reach to paragraph 9, page 8, which is the concluding paragraph, let's read it together. The ideal alternative, according to a growing body of research that I have written about elsewhere, isn't less parenting but better parenting. So the writer wants parents to keep hovering over their kids' heads, but they should do it smartly. He continues so by saying it's not standing back and letting kids struggle, then kicking them out of the nest and demanding they make it on their own whenever we or pop culture scolds say so. So parents shouldn't be away from their kids. They should be next to them till they are ready to face society. It's being responsive to what the child needs. We have to take care of our child's needs. That may be the right to make decisions. It may also be a continued close connection to mom and dad. And in the last sentence, the writer didn't forget to answer the question he raised in the thesis statement, whether HP is damaging or no. What seems clear about HP in particular is that it is neither as pervasive nor as damaging as is commonly assumed. As we finished reading and explaining the reading passage, this is the homework for the coming time. Thank you for watching and stay safe.